Mr. Isaacs, I'd like to talk with you first. You mentioned in your statement a tax item that we should consider. As you know, we are working on that right now. You were referring to the advanced manufacturing tax credit, and I think you referenced that it should be extended but also expanded to include chips. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes. Well, it's vitally important to continue to rebuild our manufacturing capabilities here in the United States, and we're seeing the results from the current tax credit in achieving those goals. It's also important that we maintain our technology leadership, and the U.S. is the traditional leader in chip design, and yet other countries are directing incentives to displace U.S. leadership. And right now, the U.S. is the only leading nation that lacks a direct incentive for chip design. And so we believe that the tax credit could help attract investment and spur employment to make sure that this high-value design activity is conducted here in the U.S., and we maintain that first-mover advantage.
And are chips already included in the current provision, or do they need to be added?
It would need to be added, sir.
All right, thank you very much. And Ms. Bhaskaran, you referenced in your testimony the IRA and difficulties in the way that the IRA is administered with regard to certain products. Could you explain that a little better to me?
Of course, thank you so much. So the 30D provision, which gives us a tax credit for $7,500, is split by minerals that are processed in the United States or a country that we have a free trade agreement with. And every year, the threshold of minerals that has to be sourced to meet that requirement grows from 50% to 60% to 70%. The difficulty is that geology didn't fall along historical trade agreements. So many of the minerals that we need are outside of countries that we have a free trade agreement with. For example, when we look at a continent like Africa, which has upwards of 50% of the world's cobalt, palladium, platinum, chromium, significant reserves of lithium, there's only one country in Africa that we have a free trade agreement with. It's Morocco. And so what ends up happening is any incentive is a disincentive. So that means that countries that don't have a free trade agreement with are inherently less competitive. So we're less likely to spur investment in non-FTA countries. The problem with that, of course, is that China has made significant progress in emerging markets in sourcing long-term mineral offtake agreements that are now feeding into Chinese processing. So if we want to create a more competitive regime, we need to extend that incentive or extend a new incentive into non-FTA countries that have minerals.
All right, thank you very much. We may want to get back with you on details as to how exactly to accomplish that in terms of revising that, but I appreciate your highlighting that for us. And Mr. Whitaker, the American med tech industry is a major driver of innovation, economic growth, and job creation. However, this is a highly regulated industry. It's not easy to quickly move manufacturing here, as you indicated in your testimony. Moreover, some of the manufacturing entails low-value products that don't generate significant returns. How can we help identify what parts of the supply chain are essential to nearshore and the other parts that may benefit from tariff relief through trade agreements?
Yeah, so great question. We source things from all over the country and all over the world as well. So from plastics to rubbers to tungsten, the kind of list goes on and on. So having open access to those markets without large tariffs assigned to those makes it easiest for us to import those back into this country and then finish those products and sell them to hospitals in the United States. So the tariff barrier, the current tariff barrier, is the biggest challenge we've faced in a long time relative to accessing all the component parts we need to finish these products and provide them to hospitals.
All right, thank you. And I'd like to just go back to you, Mr. Isaacs, very quickly for the last 30 seconds that I have. You indicated that you had some ideas on how the tariff policy could be better targeted in your world. Could you just give us 30 seconds on that?
Yes, thank you, Senator. So we believe that any tariffs should be targeted to either specific product categories or countries of concern. We certainly think there should be appropriate exemptions for critical inputs so they don't inadvertently raise our costs. There should be phased-in processes to allow the supply chain to adjust over time, things like that.
Thank you very much.